Hello, YouTube. Oliver G here from the Earful Tower. What you're about to hear is an episode from the back catalogue of my podcast, but what you're about to see is exactly what we were talking about. This YouTube miniseries is about beautiful Paris walks, and in this case, we'll take you along Rue Cler. Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Earful Tower podcast. My name is Oliver G, and if you think you've detected a sort of melancholic, bittersweet, nostalgic sadness to my voice, you're not mistaken. I come with some sad news. We are going to be leaving the 7th arrondissement that we've called home for 2 years. It's time for new chapters in Paris, elsewhere in Paris, but those we'll talk about when they've started happening. For today, I wanted to take you guys on a trip with me and my wife Lina down memory lane, and as it happens, memory lane has a name, Rue Cler, R-U-E-C-L-E-R. A few words about it before you hear the podcast episode. This is a street that some people consider to be very touristy, a charming market street that maybe, according to some, has sort of lost its touch, has become too popular. I can see why people might say that, but I think to listen to this episode and to appreciate it properly, you need to realize that we've been walking up and down this street every day for 2 years as locals and as residents, and I think that makes a big difference. So you're going to hear me and Lina walking from the north side to the south side, pointing out a bunch of things and sharing our memories from this lovely street. This episode was a little bit inspired by last week's walk down Rue Montague, which was a kind of another nostalgia bomb for me, but also when we left Montmartre 2 years ago, Lina and I did a similar on-the-go walking episode up and down our old street, Rue des Abbesses and so on, and if nothing else, it's really lovely for us to have a little sort of diary of our own life here. I hope you can enjoy it. Something a little bit more personal than usual. Thanks to the Patreon members who make this show continue to happen. Patreon.com/The Earful Tower. As I mentioned at the end of this episode, there'll be bonuses for you about Rue Cler. So here we go, north of Rue Cler to south of Rue Cler, and there's a bit of a twist at the end of the episode. We're not on Rue Cler anymore. We're somewhere high above the city of Paris. No, I'm not talking about the Eiffel Tower, but you have to listen to the end to figure out what I'm talking about. Over to you, Press Maxon, for some music, and let's all go down Rue Cler one last time. So here we sit, Lina, Norden G.
Yes, we do, Oliver G.
At the coffee shop, the Blue Olive.
Mm-hmm. Our very favorite.
Yeah, Rue de Grenelle. And this coffee shop, we didn't really talk about on the podcast for the past 2 years. I hate to say it, because we wanted to keep it a bit secret.
We are selfish.
That is so selfish. It's really naughty.
It's mean. We'll do better.
But we've so as I said, this is going to be a really sort of personal, nostalgic episode. The staff here have been so kind to us since the beginning.
They are family.
They actually are.
They are a
to
family, but they kind of like family to us.
But
now.
even like helping, they were at our Christmas party. They helped with babysitting. Like the whole staff has helped with babysitting over the years. And the coffee is great, and the atmosphere is wonderful. And it was especially in our first year here. I think we were here every single day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This was
without doubt.
Yeah, this was a home away from home. So everybody should check that out. And to the level that if you hear the Americans walking in behind us, it's because we're near the American.
It's a bit of an American hotspot.
Even though it's a French family that runs it.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're ever in this neighborhood, go and have a coffee there. We recommend it heartily. And say hi from us to the staff. Just go in, order a coffee.
Do.
So Oliver and Lina said hi, by the way. Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be so nice. I'd love that.
So as we're going to walk down Rue Cler in the 7th arrondissement, how are you feeling? Are you feeling nostalgic? Are you feeling excited to leave?
Oh, it's bittersweet, I think. What do you think?
I don't know, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, definitely.
I never even knew about the street before we got here. And,
I know, it's weird. But now we have all our habits here. You know, it's just our little life and the birth of our son. You know, his whole life has been here. So
It was his first street.
it was.
And as I said on last week's podcast, my favorite street in the city usually changes depending on where we move. So this has been my favorite street. And I know that it's kind of controversial because, I say controversial, but I know a lot of people are like, touristy, overrated. When you are here as a resident, when you walk that street every day to drop your son off at daycare,
and you know the people.
it's a whole different feeling.
It is.
So with that in mind, shall we walk down this street from north to south and point out all the things that mean a lot to us?
One last time.
One last time. And you know what? I will add, as a bus comes and splashes us from a puddle, I will add that we're being followed by Augusta, the photographer, which is also a nostalgic thing, because the first time we ever worked together, we started the shoot at a walk show right here in Blue Olive as we walked down the street with Justin from Milagro. So it's all coming in a big full circle.
Yep.
You ready, Augusta?
Ready?
Ready, Lina?
Let's do this.
So, north to south on Rue Cler. I think it's important to point out that Rue Cler actually continues beyond Rue de Grenelle, but you don't need to worry about that bit.
No, not too much.
This street starts here, at the intersection of Grenelle and Clare, and then you can walk all the way to the very end, finding everything from fruit, shops, flowers.
I mean, everything, yeah. Restaurants, bars, cheesemongers, wine shops, chocolate shops. It's very foodie.
It is a very foodie street, but
Yeah.
I think even if you're not a foodie, I don't think I'm much of a foodie. I think there's plenty to find.
Yeah,
Going
I mean,
on
you
this
can
street.
definitely appreciate the ambiance.
You know what?
What happened there, ambiance? But yes, you can.
When we started, we passed a couple of fruit shops, and I think they're kind of almost famous. Like, everybody knows these fruit shops. And that reminds me, this is kind of a market street. Like, I think a lot of people call it a market street, but I think there's more going on than that. The fruit shops, I mean, there's a bunch of them around. We never really had a particular one.
I feel like we switch allegiances depending on the season. The one up towards the other end, not the Grenelle end, that is more like autumn for me.
Really?
I don't know. I have this system that's more autumn because they always make it very autumny with lots of pumpkins and stuff. And then the one towards the bottom, that's the summer one.
You know what? It reminds me that when we first came to this street, there was the €10 mangoes that we talked about when we did the live videos, remember?
That's right.
Because this street is expensive, so you need to know where to go. We've already passed a few things I wanted to talk about. There's that cheese shop there that I often point out to people that has Eiffel Tower shaped cheeses.
Yes.
I think that's pretty cool. And then we just passed a restaurant called La Sablaise, which I think it's seafood, and we never ate there.
Never been.
But-
Can't say anything about it.
Well, I can say that they have the hooks out the front, like a butcher hooks. This is one of my favorite facts. Like when you walk around Paris, you see some newer shops that have these weird hooks out the front.
Yeah.
Where the meat used to hang. It's one of those fun little facts.
It's hidden behind the curtain.
I'll request that Augusta takes some pictures of those hooks. Another thing on this street, florists.
Two main florists. I don't know if they're in cahoots or not. I don't think so.
Definitely not. They're definitely not in cahoots. But really friendly, both of them.
Yeah, they're really good.
Make good flowers. I
Yeah.
think it's kind of cool we can have as my review of a florist, makes good flowers. No, but I also want to point out, it's cool that we're kind of giving the stats of the street because, in the years to come, it will certainly change. For example, there's a honey shop on the left, the Famille Mary.
Yeah.
Mary.
That's right.
That's kind of new.
That is kind
Where
of
they
new.
sell honey, you bring your own jug and you can fill it up with honey.
Yeah, that feels very new. I wasn't going to say hippie, but I don't think you can say hippie. Also, it's not very hippie at all. I retract my hypothesis.
You know, we said there was 2 fruit shops. There's actually 3. We're passing another one.
Oh, I do like this one.
Yeah.
The one in the middle. Very friendly stuff.
Au Bon Jardinier. That's where we're at.
And a little tip about the fruit shops, actually. So if you're afraid you don't know the prices and, you're going to go for the really expensive stuff, go for the things that they have out front because that's usually the better priced stuff. And that's whatever is in season and, that they have a lot of. And then the more expensive stuff is at the back.
True. That is a very good tip.
It
and
is.
you can also ask
I
them.
learned that very recently.
You can say to them, what's good?
Yeah.
What's good? And
Yeah.
I mean, they might try and get rid of some stuff on you, but usually they
might.
want you to come back. I want to stop here because this is the way the street changed in ways that actually affected us pretty significantly.
Yes.
Here at number 43, I guess it is, there's a restaurant called the Diwan Beirut, like a Lebanese restaurant. Perfectly lovely. We've got some takeaway food. But it used to be a really charming bookshop.
It was our first bookshop in the 7th.
And they used to. It was such a moment for us because we just moved here and we went in with. And I'm going to write about this in another book one day, I'm sure. But we went in with one copy of Kylie the Crocodile. And they were like, it's in English. I don't know if we can take it. And we're like, well, but there's so many tourists.
There's so many Americans around here.
Yeah, we were
and
such hustlers. We were such hustlers.
Take one.
And they were like, we'll take. I'm not sure if we'll take one, but And then I came back like a week later. I was like, you're gonna take the book? And they're like, we don't know. I was like, please try. And they took it. And then, as I remember, like that afternoon, they'd sent me an extremely formal email saying, we sold it. Can you bring in another one?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, okay, cool. You sure you don't want more? No, we'll start with one. So we brought in another one, and the same thing happened. They sold it immediately and requested very formally that we brought in 2.
Yeah.
And then it continued like that.
I see a pattern.
It was a Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah, I was going to say Pythagoras, but it's not that at all.
No, it's Fibonacci.
It's
1,
Fibonacci.
1, 2, 3, 5.
Yes, Dan Brown.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then eventually they ordered it by the box load, and they put it out there at eye level on the street, and it was such a thrill.
We were so proud because it was the only English book they had.
And then you remember what happened? They went out of business
and
turned into a Lebanese shop.
The two are not, connected, I hope.
I don't know. I want to stop here on this corner because this is probably the corner that most people know Rue Cler from. We're on the corner of the Rue de Champ de Mars. 2
very, typically red brasseries, 2 French Parisian brasseries, and very similar. You got the chairs and the red awnings, and
their names are Café Central and Café du Marche. And I think this is probably where most tourists would come and have a drink. We went there an awful lot, but usually to meet people. Because there's space, it's quiet if you need to talk or have a meeting.
Otherwise, that's another thing. I mean, there are a lot of small places around.
It's very photographable as well. I can see Augusta in the corner doing her thing where she jumps down behind the wicker chairs.
She's good.
She's good. I want to ask, do you have a preference out of these 2? If people are listening thinking they're going to come here?
Definitely a preference. And it is Café Central for me.
As the street sweeper comes, I'm going to pause for a second.
Yes.
And we can enjoy our takeaway coffees from Blue Olive. I want to talk about bakeries.
Yes, you do.
There's 2 bakeries in the area that are exceptional, really, I must say. This one that we're looking at, Artisan Boulanger Pâtissier MJ, Maison Julien.
Yes, Michael Jackson.
I think, by the way, speaking of coffees, I've seen a lot of people that get a coffee from that place. Not very good.
No, that's the typical, is it called a Richard?
Yeah.
The very, very typical bad coffee.
You get your coffee from a coffee shop, but you get your baguettes. Baguettes here are amazing.
Yeah, the tradition.
And the croissants.
We've been here almost daily.
And they've got a crepe thing out the front. Delish crepes.
They'll
make it right on the spot.
Thin.
This place, I once went in there fairly recently, and I said to him, I had the idea, I'd have never done this before, but I go, what time are the tradition, for those who don't know, is like a type of a baguette.
Yeah, it's just more delicious.
Yeah, a delicious version of the baguette.
Yeah, and if you don't like it too cooked, say pas trop cuit.
Yeah. Pas bien cuit. Yeah. And I said to the lady, I was like, when are the traditions fresh? And she's like, well, in about 10 minutes they'll be straight out of the oven. I was like, well, I'm not buying one now. I'll come back in 10 minutes. So I looped around and came back.
Thank you very much.
A hot baguette to eat on the street of Paris is one of those. For €1, it's one of the great joys in life.
It is.
I don't think in the whole world you can do many better things for €1.
No, definitely. That or a lottery ticket.
What?
No.
At the end of the street, at the far end of Rue Cler, so the south end, there's another bakery that we used to go to a lot as well.
Yeah.
I'm already using the past tense. And the other thing, Rue Cler is pedestrianized in that it's very rare for a car to come past unless it's a taxi.
Yeah.
So
or some deliveries.
Yeah, sure, the delivery trucks. And on Mondays, it's mostly closed. I'm thinking of the things as we the facts as we walk along.
Mondays are dead. Don't come here on a Monday. Definitely not.
One thing I've noticed...
Surprisingly okay.
Say it again?
Sundays are surprisingly okay.
What about the fact that a lot of the things on the street have changed? I mean, like standing right behind you is a cookie shop, brand new. Used to be a
I wonder
clothes
if
shop.
it's a thing that after COVID,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's changed a lot in the 2 years that we've been here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not everything, but yeah, you can see a bunch of new shop fronts popping up.
I mean, down there by the Lebanese restaurant, I can see that they're doing scaffolding, so there's probably something else popping up. Hey, you know, Macron used to live around here.
He did.
Yeah,
Didn't we know someone who lived, like, who could hear him?
We knew
practice
someone
his
who
speech?
knew. Yeah, that's right. Someone who knew someone. Yeah. And now we're down the other end of the street, sort of the south end of the street. Another taxi going by, where there's another beautiful florist, the kind of florist that we went to more often than the other one, I'd say.
Yeah, this one though, it can take its sweet time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little bit like Mr. Bean in
Rowan
Love Actually.
Atkinson. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
not
then
Mr. Bean. You know what I mean.
Here's the other vegetable shop. And I see now it's Au Bon Jardinier. It's the same as the other one.
Yes. And now I also saw that there are 2 mangoes for €8. So
Each? Or 2? Well, okay,
2
now
for
the
$8.
mangoes must be in season somewhere. I said to the guy in La Durée, which we just passed, that the south end of Rue Cler is the boring end, and he really took it.
I know. He was like, no, there's lots to do.
And then he listed
like,
everything that there is to
well,
do.
there's a hardware shop, there's a chocolate shop. I mean, how much can you really do?
As we're standing here, though, the chocolate shop is Alain Ducasse, who's the famous chef who survived a plane crash, the sole survivor of a plane crash. I want to interview that guy.
What is this? Sounds like a superhero.
I know. There's the La Durée and there's the flower shops and everything, but there's also this little I don't know what you'd call it, like a deli, like a little deli that a lot of people go to. There's the tea shop on the right, and then there's this, it's just being redone, the Au Petit Tea.
Oh, they have very good onion soup back in the day.
Best onion soup. And then
very
they're either closed down or they're renovating it.
And then at the very end, there's the dreaded post office.
Shall we give them the time of day, the post office?
I mean, there's a post office. You need a post office in your life if you live in France.
I think the problem for us as a small business that makes books is going to a post office regularly in France and posting something like books is a headache.
It fills you with dread.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not really...
If we ever get out of the book business, it's mostly going to be because of the post office, I think. There it is. So this is the delicatessen, the Caviari delicatessen, which I think is quite popular. And on the right, the Mariage Frère tea shop, not to be confused with à la mère de famille, the chocolate shop, the second chocolate shop of the street that we passed. If it all sounds a bit much information, we've got pictures of everything. We're going to be putting it on the website. Just look for the word Rue Cler on the earfultower.com and all of Augusta's pictures will be there. Now we're getting to the end of the street. So we walked down here for 25 minutes, 3 cars passed. That's pretty good for us.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I'd let my son run around here.
So that's it. Now that we're at the end of the street, I can see the bakery is the green one. The Maison something, begins with B. I can't read it, but it's right at the end of Rue Cler. And to the left, just out of our sight, though, is the Griffon Fromagerie.
Oh, we're the friendliest staff in town.
They're the ones that went a little bit viral on the internet after I went in and showed them Will Weaver's cutting efforts on a Comté from a recent episode.
Yeah, the massacre.
And they laughed their heads off, and then I showed them cutting the cheese.
They're like, this is enormous, c'est pas vrai, this is not real.
And they've been really nice to us as well. So as now we're crossing over at the end of the street.
Yeah.
Still can't see the name of the bakery.
Boulevard Tour Maubourg, we're crossing.
Such, doing this as a last walk, I'm having such, pangs of nostalgia.
I know.
I remember going to that, I think it's a ladies' hairdresser. And I was just like, oh, can I have a... And they're like, oh, yeah, we can cut your hair. And then I end up gossiping with them about, the tabloid magazines and what the president's wife is doing and stuff like that. All these little moments that, it's not enough to... It's not the kind of story I'd put on the podcast or make an episode about or whatever, but they're just these little things that happen that kind of shape...
Lots of memories.
Yeah. But also I wanted to ask you, in the neighborhood, so it's not just Rue Cler on the surrounding streets, are there things that you're going to miss or things that you think deserve a shout out?
Oh, I mean, things I'm going to miss are so many, but, just having... It sounds silly and cliche, but having the Eiffel Tower within such reach. I will miss that, and to be able to like loop the tower for a little morning walk, that's not bad. I'm gonna miss that.
That's true. I'm gonna miss that as well.
And I'm gonna miss the people that we kind of gotten to know really like surprisingly well for two foreigners.
It's true. It sounds like a cliche, and I think
yeah.
people say this a lot about Paris, but it really is. Wherever you live turns into your neighborhood.
I know.
And it feels like a village, and there are, like, we were talking about this, I don't think we're crazy coffee drinkers. I don't. Like, one a day, right?
Yeah.
But we went to Blue Olive an awful lot. We've been to some other cafes an awful lot, like Cozy around the corner, which deserves a shout out. There's Tapisserie just down the road from here. So much so that you get talking to the people. You'd walk in and they'd say hello to our son by name. They'd know our order, and they make you feel like at home. And I think it's a bit amplified in this neighborhood because there's so many tourists around, so that
so you don't get like recurring faces so much, I guess.
Yeah, and
so
so
when they do,
it's appreciated.
Exactly.
I guess. So we really felt really at home. It's going to be sad. I had a thought when you said that you're going to miss the Eiffel Tower. I just had an idea. When we're here with Augusta, why don't we climb up onto the old rooftop and say one last farewell to the Iron Lady? I'm not talking about Augusta. I'm talking about.
Is that a threat?
Let's go and finish up there, I think.
Okay, let's do that.
And so we're sitting on top of the roof.
On top of Paris.
On top of the world. And it's all about to come crashing down as we move to a different neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. We're crouching behind a chimney just in case there's too much wind. But over your shoulder I can see the Eiffel Tower almost in its entirety.
And over your shoulder I can see Invalides.
Oh, I can see the golden reflection of it in your eyeballs.
Oh, how romantic.
I don't think we've really shared that we can come up on this rooftop.
No, we did a little hint, I think, but nothing major. It's a very safe rooftop, so...
Oh, yeah, before anyone worries.
No worries.
It's one of those really rare flat ones.
Yeah, and huge.
Enormous. It's probably like the size of a basketball court. And maybe I'll do a video up here before we leave, but the sheer number of monuments that you can see from up here is astounding. I can see, like just over there, I can see the Russian church, that one with the golden dome. Yeah. There's the Pont d'Alexandre III next to the Grand Palais, right?
Yeah, I think Augusta, if you hear some clicking noises, it's Augusta getting them all, I think.
And can you hear that noise? There's stones on the roof?
Yeah, that's weird.
I realized we did share once. We did a Bastille video from up here.
Yes, 14th of July.
Yes.
That was the last time.
So, as time is coming to an end up here, and before I forget, I want to take the chance. What I did with the Verrou on Rue Montagueux is I did a Patreon video walking down it. I wanted to invite you, Lina, to do the same thing, but on Rue Cler, but this time after the podcast comes out. You want to do it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So there's an incentive to anyone who hasn't signed up on Patreon. So patreon.com/the Earful Tower. Lovely Lina and myself will walk end to end on Rue Cler and point out all these things that we've been talking about and give you a few behind the scenes details.
So if you're a visual person, that's where to go.
Exactly.
Yes.
Patreon.com/the Earful Tower. Otherwise, all these beautiful pictures from Augusta will be on the website and social media. 7th arrondissement. The Invalides next door, the Eiffel Tower behind us. I'm gonna admit that this is going to be a place that I'll miss. It'll be nice to look back on this in the future and sort of at this point in our life with having a baby and such a huge change from Montmartre.
Yeah, it's been a very special place.
And I'm going to miss it. Do you think you'll come back much?
I mean, I want to say yes. I hope so.
Interesting answer. That means no.
Well, it's also a little indication of maybe what part of Paris we're moving to.
And that part of Paris is to be revealed in the future once we've figured it out a little bit. But I will say this, it's different, it's new for us.
Yeah?
And it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You have a 1 in 19 chance of guessing it at home, which number district it'll be, and we'll come back with more info on it in the future. But for now, Lina, thank you for being my guest on the Earful Tower podcast.
Well, Oliver, thank you for being a part habitant of the 7th with me.
Goodbye, 7th arrondissement. We're going to miss you.
Yes, we are.
Au revoir, le 7e arrondissement!
Oh my God. They're like, good riddance.
Police sirens. Yeah. All right, everybody. Press Maxon with some music to see us out. Merci beaucoup and au revoir.